In this tutorial, we are going to talk about using the translate, rotate, push, and pop feature to be able to rotate your 2D primitive shapes in P5. So usually, if I draw a rectangle here, I'm going to place it at 0x and 0y, and I'm going to say 100 for its width and height. That square is going to sit squarely on the upper left. And that is because according to the Cartesian coordinate system in p5.js, 0, 0, x, y is on the upper left of our canvas. There is, though, a way to shift the position of that 0, 0. And in order to do that, we need to use something called translate. So if we look at the P5 reference and choose translate, essentially you can see that translate is a syntax that just take a x and a y value. And when you use translate, it essentially shifts the whole canvas to a different origin. So for instance, I'm going to add translate right before my rectangle, and maybe let's just say I want the origin of my canvas to start at the center of the canvas instead of the upper left of the canvas. So I might here then put width divided by 2, height divided by 2, and I can hit play. And so what you're seeing here right now is essentially that Cartesian coordinate 0, 0 shifted to the center of the canvas at 200x and 200y. So when you shift the origin of your canvas, everything that you draw after translate is going to be affected by the shifting of this origin. So let's say I'm going to create an ellipse here, 0, 0, 100, 100, and I'm going to hit play here. You're going to see that that ellipse is also affected because translate is a feature that carries through and translate into any subsequent shape that goes after it. So what if I just want to translate my square and I don't want to translate anything else that I'm drawing on the canvas? What you can use then is something called push and pop. So push and pop, these kind of very obscure language that we're using here, essentially is just a way for us to tell P5 when to start to translate and when to stop it. So over here, I'm going to write a push right before translate, which indicates start translate. And if I write pop right underneath rectangle, which is the only thing I want to translate, it would stop the translation process. So if I do that, if I add push and pop right before translate and after the shape I want to translate, it will only affect that shape. And the ellipse that gets drawn after that returns to the default, right? It returns to the default of our 0, 0 origin at the upper left. Okay, so I'm actually going to delete this ellipse right here, and I'm going to talk about rotate. In order to use rotate, you have to use it in combination with translate. So let's come over and take a look at rotate. So rotate is a feature in P5 where you can essentially just insert the numeric value of an angle, and you can just let the program know what angle to rotate the shape to. So I have briefly mentioned this last time, but P5 takes either a radian value, which is the whole pi, half pi, 2 pi system, or it also take a numeric value, which is the degree system. So by default, P5 wants you to enter the radian system. So let's try that first. It's not very meaningful to rotate square in a 90 degree. So what I'm going to do is maybe rotate it at 45 degree towards the pi. So what I might do, returning here, is I might here under translate, make sure that it's under translate, create a rotate feature, and I'm going to say pi divided by 4. And as you can see, the pi has rotated 45 degrees towards the pi because essentially we have divided the pi into 4 parts, right? And we're rotating the square 1/4 of the pi. Alternatively, you can actually also use the degree system with one extra step. So in order to use the degree system, you have to use something in P5 called the angle mode. So inside of setup, we can kind of decide from the get-go what kind of system we want, whether it's radian or degrees. So here I'm going to type angle mode, and inside of that, I'm going to say degrees. And if I type this and if I hit play, it's going to basically ignore my request of using pi because it's now only recognizing the degree system. So if I return to my beautiful chart here and look at what the corresponding degree for pi, which is 180, one way to do this is I can just replace that 180 divided by 4, which should give me the same result here, right? You can obviously also just type in, whatever degree you want and see the changes happen in the screen. So one thing to notice specifically with rotate is that once you change the angle mode to degree, you cannot use radian anymore. And this might also affect other shapes that you are drawing, such as arcs. You have to convert the pi system into the degree system if you're drawing any arcs or using the radians in any other way inside your sketch.